Shonen Jump is dead. Yeah, remember when people were saying that 2.5 years ago? With the conclusion of two of its most popular titles, Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia, the constant hiatuses of the big names like Dragon Ball Super and Hunter x Hunter, and the fact that One Piece is clearly in its final saga, Shonen Jump fans started worrying. A lot of the manga that were coming out around that time weren't bad, but you know, they weren't the best either. I mean, look at this list of new manga that came out around that time. Only 3 of these series survived, and one of them got axed after it hit around 100 chapters. I mean, you can see why these never went too far. Like, who wants to read greens? Like, these were truly dark times. The walls were collapsing around us. It felt like our only saving grace was to keep Oda enslaved for another 2 decades. That was until Kagurabachi was announced. Now, I know you guys remember Kagurabachi being a meme before it even dropped, and this picture, and enough time has passed, and blah blah blah. But it's actually funny to think about in hindsight. The reason why the meme even got popular was because of how dead people thought Shonen was. Already judging it as another manga that was just gonna get added to the axe graveyard. But nah, Kagurabachi was like,
you know what, all of you better duck, because I'm about to turn left and I don't want to smack you with my dick.
It surprised everyone that Kagurabachi actually surpassed the meme. It became a ray of hope for all Shonen Jump fans, showing that the magazine still had a little bit of that special sauce. The series got really big, building a fan base and even getting co-signed by Kohei Horikoshi, the author of My Hero Academia. And still, Shonen Jump, they weren't done. About a year after Kagurabachi started, Shonen Jump would hit us with another promising title that would grow a relatively large fan base, Ichi the Witch. And even though it has yet to reach the heights that Kagurabachi has, with it only having 60 chapters and all, it still is pulling a lot of traction, with it constantly being in the top 5 of the TLC charts. These 2 stories brought back our hope in Shonen Jump. Shonen Jump knows this, and they've actually acknowledged it, announcing that both of these series will share the cover page on the first issue of 2026, and running a campaign called the Ichika Bachika event. They know that each of these series are gonna pioneer the new generation together. But the fan bases of these series, yeah, nah, they said hell nah. This magazine is not big enough for the both of us. It's an absolute war zone on Twitter when it comes to these 2 series. A gang war between the Kagura Bloods and Ichi the Crips. Now, in my opinion, we should all exist in harmony, right? Like, let's just be happy that Shonen Jump can still get jiggy with it. But at the same time, though, there's nothing wrong with a little sibling rivalry. So I came to add a little fuel to the fire. I want to put these series against each other and rate them in every aspect so that we can end this war once and for all. I'm going to be comparing the stories, characters, and overall impact to see which one of these series will be the true savior of Shonen, to see which one of these series got that sauce for real, Ichi the Witch or Kagurabachi. There's going to be mad spoilers for both series in this video, so don't say I didn't warn you. And make sure you guys subscribe, leave a like, hit that hype button, and comment which series you think is better.
Ready, go!
It's kind of funny that these 2 series are the leaders in new gen shonen because they have completely different vibes. Like, Kagurabachi is more of a dark, gritty, like cut my life into pieces type beat, and Ichi the Witch is more lighthearted, like wonderful world of magic type beat. It's interesting. Let's start off with Kagurabachi. Kagurabachi is a manga written and illustrated by Tekeru Hokuzono, the GOAT. It's a story about a young boy named Chihiro who is the son of a war hero, Kunishige Rokuhira. Kunishige created 6 swords called the Enchanted Blades to help Japan win the Seitei War. These enchanted blades are basically nuclear bombs. I'm not kidding. Kunishige is the Asian Oppenheimer. They win the war and Kunishige ends up going to live a peaceful life, having a son named Chihiro and teaching him how to forge blades. But a couple years after that, Kunishige gets murked and robbed by an organization named the Hishaku. They blicked Kunishige and took all 6 of his enchanted blades. Why am I talking like this? Along with taking Kunishige's life, they also took all 6 of his enchanted blades, leaving Chihiro alive. However, what they didn't know was that there was a 7th enchanted blade made just for Chihiro. 3 years after his death, Chihiro vows to take revenge for his father and get back all the enchanted blades, using the last enchanted blade that was made, N10. It's a pretty solid concept if I do say so myself. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with a good revenge story because it does leave room for the story to go in any direction. A lot of people tried to count Kagurabachi out because it's a revenge story, but it's been able to grow into so much more during its tenure in the magazine. It isn't just straightforward, there are layers to Kagurabachi as a story. One development that recently came up in the story is if the enchanted blades should even exist. I mean, they are nukes after all. Another thing is that most people who are involved in the Seitei War don't consider themselves heroes heroes because they took too many lives. All of these things make Chihiro realize that it's bigger than just him and his need for revenge. So he steals his resolve, and instead of focusing more on revenge, he's now set to collect all the enchanted blades and destroy the Shinuchi, the strongest enchanted blade that caused the most damage. 10 out of 10 would crack again. One of my favorite stories in recent shonen. Alright, now onto Ichi the Witch. I ain't gonna lie, this was one of the manga that I dropped really early. It didn't really do too much for me when I first started reading it, and that was because I started reading it for the wrong reasons. I was coming off the crazy hype of reading Kagurabachi and binging Chainsaw Man. And y'all know how it is. When you get done reading or watching something that you think is really good, so you go looking for something else to fill the void and give you the same feeling, Ichi the Witch has a completely different vibe from Kagurabachi. And when I first started reading it, I wasn't trying to hear all that shit, but now appreciating it for what it is, I can say that Ichi the Witch is actually pretty good. Ichi the Witch is a manga written by Osamu Nishi and illustrated by Shiro Usazaki. It takes place in a world where magic is alive, and these creatures are called magics. Keeping it simple, in order to use magics, you have to acquire them by taking their trial. The water magic makes you drink all of its water in exchange for water powers. The bonfire magic has you hold it for 1 hour in exchange for fire powers. The black guy magic has to make sure you pass the vibe test in a smoke session in exchange for the N-word pass, you know, things like that. However, the only people that are able to acquire magics are women. Women that acquire magics are called witches. So it's a surprise when our main character Ichi, a hunter who was abandoned in the woods when he was young and learned how to hunt to keep himself alive, hunts one of these magics and acquires it. The rest of the story is about Ichi navigating his new magic power and defeating magics with his newfound family. As you guys can tell, this story is a lot simpler and more lighthearted than Kagurabachi. And unfortunately, other than the themes of found family and love, which are littered amongst almost every battle shonen, there isn't really much else to this manga. It's pretty straightforward. However, that doesn't mean that it's bad. Ichi the Witch really shines the more you continue to read and invest yourself in the story. The current arc that we're on right now is actually very entertaining. It's got me fully locked in to see what happens next with Minerva and Chrono. But are the first 60 chapters of Ichi the Witch shaping up to the first 60 chapters of Kagurabachi? I don't know. I think both of these series have their strengths and weaknesses, but I think Kagurabachi is just stronger. The way Goat Kazono, am I glazing too much? The way Hokuzono structures Kagurabachi is insanely polished. It's very tightly knit and fast paced. It's able to take lore, themes, and character arcs and combine them perfectly. And even though that's good, the way the story is structured also leaves no room for us to just vibe. The story is constantly moving forward, which doesn't give us any room for downtime, where we're able to just like chill, you know, chill with Chihiro. I thought Char was cool. Why would we chill with Char? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of always tense when you're reading Kagurabachi. It's vice versa for Ichi the Witch. It feels like Osamu Nishi wanted to make this story a little more open-ended and looser when it comes to things like plot, but that allows the reader to focus more on world building, character moments, and just the overall feel and experience of reading this manga. And Osamu executes these things extremely well. This manga truly feels magical while reading, but to its detriment, sometimes it's a little too lighthearted. When I was reading for the first 2 arcs of this story, there wasn't too many moments where there was any tension at all. But Kagurabachi is full of moments where it's tense and I'm scared to turn the page because I don't know what's gonna happen. And it's been like that since chapter 1. So with deeper themes, tighter storytelling, and a far more interesting lore, Kagurabachi takes this round.
Round 2. Ready? Go!
If y'all have been watching my videos for a while, y'all know that characters are the most important part of any series in my opinion. Your plot could be the worst plot I've ever read, but if the characters are interesting and fun, then hey, you got me. And luckily that's the case for both of these series. I'm gonna start off with all the side characters first and then compare the MCs at the end. Let's start off with Ichi the Witch this time. Okay, all these characters are pretty well written and fun, but I'm gonna keep it P with y'all. We're all here for Descaris. Descaris is one of the most powerful witches in the series, and she plays a teacher role to Ichi, but her nonchalant and ego-driven attitude is so entertaining to read. This works because she's able to back up all her gloating. The set pieces that she gets are insane. I want to use this time to talk about dialogue a little bit because the way Osamu Nishi lets his characters talk feels so free. She literally refers to herself as the GOAT. This is amazing. She's also got some depth to her character. It's implied that she lost a loved one and she might be using Ichi to fill that void. But here comes the only problem that I have with Descaris as a character. She's obviously someone that yearns for a familial bond bond because she lost a loved one, even going so far as to ask Ichi to be her family. Only thing is, she's kinda not nice to Ichi at all. A lot of the time she's pretty rude with him, and they don't have many moments where they're sharing a good time together. Most of those moments go to Ichi and Kumogi, and it's not to say that Descaris doesn't care about Ichi, but it kinda seems like she doesn't like him very much despite what she says, which makes the whole family thing seem forced. But other than that, I like Descaris. Everyone's been saying this about her, and I hope I don't get demonetized for this, but she is truly a bad bitch. I really don't have much to say about Gokuraku. He's cool, but I want to see more from him. I like Kumogi. I think the interaction that she had with her bully older sister really helped that. I like how she stood up to her and walked her own path. That was nice. Other than the main cast, I really like Uroro and Ichi's body. Uroro is the first magic Ichi acquired. He had this crazy condition where only a male could complete his trial, knowing that only women could be witches. That's kind of sus, don't you think? Like, you only want to ever be acquired by a man? That's kind of sus, don't you think? In the most recent arc, Uroro makes a deal with Ichi, allowing him to take over his body for 3 minutes, and it's so entertaining. Like I said, the dialogue feels free. It's no other way to explain it. You'll just have to read for yourself. Alright, now on to Kagurabachi, and I think we all know the man of the hour for Kagurabachi is Samura. Samura was chosen by Kunishige to wield the enchanted blade Tobimune and fight in the Seitei War. And Samura was so traumatized by what he saw in the war, he blinded himself. A few years after the war, his wife would pass away from an illness, leaving him to take care of his daughter Iori. But the guilt that he feels from being a part of the war prevents him from raising her properly, with his last straw being when he realizes that she's getting bullied at school for just being related to him. So he has the Masumi make a spell that makes everyone, even him, forget who his daughter is, so that she can live a normal life. His guilt leads him to sacrifice as he plans to sever all enchanted blade contracts from each wielder and die fighting the Swordmaster. But that's until your boy Chihiro gets to the function. Chihiro shows Samura that he doesn't have to bear these burdens alone, convincing him to fight for a new future and heal his eyes to finally see his daughter. This is no joke one of the best character arcs that I've ever read. On top of all that, Samura is an aura farmer, top 1 character of 2025. Hakuri, 10 out of 10 character. His growth is amazing. You know, I'm not gonna explain his whole story, but take my word for it, he cool. I do have one grievance though. I feel like the more interesting characters have been pushed to the background a little bit. I mostly feel like this because the new cast of characters that recently entered the manga aren't really hitting for me like the other characters did. I hate the fact that we barely see Shiba. Not to mention Char and Hiyuki have been missing for an entire year and nobody is looking for them. I think right now the most interesting side character is Ikuto. That boy traumatized. But other than that, I'm not sure of how many of these guys will stick around, so they just don't feel that important to me for some reason. That's not to say they aren't entertaining though. Alright, let's go band for band with MCs. Ichi versus Chihiro. I'll be honest, they're both very good characters. Ichi is a more hyperactive, whimsy kind of person, while Chihiro is more stoic but still emotionally intelligent. Chihiro has gotten so much development. It's been cool to grow with him and see his character go from edgelord to wholesome young man. You know, quarter zips and matcha type young man. Ichi on the other hand hasn't had too much development, but Osamu definitely has something in the pot, so I'ma let him cook. Ichi's just really entertaining. Just like Descaris, I like reading his dialogue. His attitude towards everything is pretty optimistic, but then sometimes he comes off all bloodthirsty, which is a great juxtaposition. But if I had to go off which cast of characters I had more fun reading, I would have to say it's Ichi the Witch. Kagurabachi characters are amazing. They're all deep in their own way. But honestly, the dialogue does sometimes keep characters restricted. Now, of course, that's because of the type of story that Kagurabachi is, but this is not the case for Ichi the Witch. Of course, sometimes it's a little bit exaggerated with heavy use of chibi art. Like, there's a lot of super cartoonish moments with these characters, even in times where we're trying to be serious, which kind of gets annoying at times, but they're just more fun to read. Kagurabachi's characters are a lot more serious. This round goes to Ichi the Witch.
Round 3.
Ready? Go!
Hey you, yes you can get a free enchanted blade for free. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It'll get shipped straight to your house. Claim your free personal nuke now. Subscribe! Power systems are not something that can be skipped when talking about a shonen battle manga. In fact, how well a power system is weaved into a story can sometimes tell you the skill level of the author, because there are some authors that will look at a power system as just a power system, but there are other authors that will look at a power system like an extension of their story. What I mean mean by this is the author should be able to create impactful moments that are unique to the story through the power system. Kagurabachi's power system is spirit energy. When that spirit energy is used, it's called sorcery. Everybody has spirit energy, but it takes a while to learn how to control it. This is where the enchanted blades come in. They are extremely powerful. Enchanted blades are packed full of so much of their own spirit energy that they take away the original sorcery of whoever is contracted to them. In the time that they're contracted, nobody else can use the blade, and the only way to break the contract with a person and an enchanted blade is death. It's a really good concept, let's be honest here. It creates consequences and stakes for anybody who wants that type of power, which is a perfect way to have the power limited while still being able to have them frequently participate in fights. And the enchanted blades themselves are just so saucy. Each of them have 3 abilities and they're all themed in a different way. It ranges from attacks like aerial slashes and lightning to hacks like causing illusions or healing. The power system in Ichi the Witch is acquiring magics. Each magic has its own trial and you have to complete the trial in order to use its powers. These powers can be literally anything. Ice powers, spider webs, a gigantic owl that forces you to tell us your search history out loud. It's a pretty broad spectrum. It doesn't seem like there's any limit to where Osamu can go with the powers here, but that's not always a good thing. When characters are fighting, it feels like they have unlimited magic energy, except for Ichi, and unlimited stamina at that. Not to mention that you can collect as many magics as you want. We haven't been given a limit for that either. Like, what could you do if I pulled 1,000,000 magics out of my pocket at once? You're dead. This makes the stakes a lot lower because it doesn't feel like there's any consequence for true power. What I will say is that certain magics being human haters and certain magic liking humans does add a little bit of flavor to it. Like in the most recent arc, Minerva is a human woman and Chrono is a magic that controls time. They got freaky with it and now she's pregnant. It can create an interesting conflict for sure, but sometimes the power system feels weightless when it comes to consequence. However, the way Kagurabachi uses its power system to move the story along is beautiful. For example, we know that an enchanted blade can't be used by anyone else as long as it's contracted to someone. So when Hirohiko picks up and activates Kumiyori, an enchanted blade already contracted to Uruha, it doesn't take long for readers to put 2 and 2 together that Uruha went bye-bye. Ichi the Witch has very flashy powers, and the way it works allows for a huge variety of different magic. But Kagurabachi's power system is just too creative. It's way more tightly knit and creates stakes for the story. And come on now, don't cap. These powers are cool as hell. Kagurabachi takes round 3.
Final round.
Ready? Go!
Here we are. The final hoorah, with Kagurabachi at 2 points and Ichi at 1. Who will be the true savior of Shonen? Now you may be asking, Q, why did you save art for last as if it's the most important thing? The art shouldn't matter. It's about the story that the art is telling. I completely agree with you, but let me take you into the mind of an indie manga creator real quick. If you watch videos on how to make manga, you're gonna come across a lot of videos saying that art doesn't matter. But as a mangaka, it really does. The general public is extremely fickle, and if your manga art looks bad off rip, people won't even click on it. But that's not all. Manga is a visual medium. Other than what's in the speech bubbles, a lot of information is conveyed to the reader through the art. The setting, the character's positioning, it's used to convey motion, it's used to convey emotion. When you turn that page and see that double spread, you're supposed to feel like the rock smacked you. Now imagine this page turn look like this instead. You're not gonna feel like The Rock smacked you. You're gonna feel like Will Smith did it. That's why things like art, paneling, and posing are so important. And that's something that every mangaka has to pay attention to, or else no one will read. By the way, go read my manga Crystal Wars Chapter 2 out now. With that being said though, I could never hope to be half as good as these guys, cause what the fuck. Shiro Usazaki is just having too much fun with it. The poses, the details, everything that he draws in this manga truly makes it feel magical, like I keep saying it. And he never shortchanges it. Almost every single chapter is banger after banger. Double page spread. His line work is super smooth, but it gets rough during intense moments, which is a nice touch. I think Shiro excels at character design and drawing magical effects. Almost every character design is very detailed and fun to look at. I really like Chrono's design. Goku Raku is nice too. Sometimes it's a little weird though, like why is the Scarus always pouting? Like that kind of throws me off sometimes. Another thing is I think sometimes pages might be a little too detailed. Like when it's a lot going on with the art and then there's a lot going on with the words and the speech bubbles, it's hard to focus. But my eyesight is bugged out, so it's probably just me. Now on to Kagurabachi. Alright, I want everybody to use their imagination real quick. Every Sunday, you wake up in the morning, you smell the most delectable, most savory aroma you've ever smelled. You jump out of bed, mouth watering. You ain't even brush your teeth yet. It's that deep. You start running to the kitchen. You fall down the steps. You get to the kitchen, and what do you see? It's Hokazono. cooking. That's the Kagurabachi experience. Hokuzono's pen is crazy. The way he uses foreshortening during action scenes. The way his double page spreads are so dynamic. The paneling is probably one of the best aspects of his art, and it's probably one of the most important things about making manga. It's easy to follow the pictures and speech bubbles when reading. It's like everything lines up perfectly to guide my eyes through the page. But sometimes he'll do some crazy shit like having a lighter burn a panel. It's so cool. Hokuzono's art is a lot less detailed when it comes to character designs, and he doesn't go crazy on special effects like Shido does. But the way Hokuzono draws is so dynamic, it conveys motion without even trying, which is important because it allows us to animate a scene in our heads. And come on, like, we just can't deny, this manga just has aura. Like, it's a feeling that you can only get if you read the story. You need to experience that page turn the correct way. Just showing the picture won't do it the most justice. Aura is extremely important when it comes to a battle shonen. Your characters have to fight their inner demons, but they gotta look cool while doing it. So, with both having amazing art, who wins this round and becomes the savior of shonen? I think it's a tie. We shouldn't focus so much on which is better and which is worse. We should unite together because right now we're witnessing a shonen renaissance. Think about it, this generation might end up with a series that impacts the world like Naruto or One Piece did. We should all be happy that we're here for that ride. They're both good series that'll make waves once their anime comes out. It's a tie. These are the twin peaks of shonen. Psych, nah, nigga, Kagurabachi wins the final round. Bachi bows for life.